Lara, give an update of what we're seeing on the ground, especially out of your home state of North Carolina. If I understand correctly, North Carolina terribly just ravaged by these storms. It was awful. And then had some historic early voting numbers out of Western North Carolina. Tell us about your home state of North Carolina.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm sure I don't have to tell your audience, North Carolina is a must-win state. If you remember back to 2016, Hillary Clinton famously called North Carolina her firewall, said that that was a must-win state. Obviously, Donald Trump won it in 2016. He won it in 2020, maybe by a thinner margin. And there are certainly many people who've moved to North Carolina from the Northeast. And so it is a very purple state, Charlie. That said, I think the messaging that we have tried to send out there from the RNC and the Trump campaign of voting early has really resonated with people in my home state. The first 2 days of early voting were last Thursday and last Friday in North Carolina. And traditionally, you see with early in-person voting, Democrats always have a lead. It's like 20-80 in the Democrats' favor. 80% of early vote totals always favor the Democrats. What we've seen in North Carolina is honestly historic, because right now we are actually up by over 1,000 ballots in North Carolina on the Republican side for early in-person vote totals. Never seen it before, Charlie. And if you talk about the hurricane hit areas, this is the western part of the state. Obviously, people have been very concerned. Will these people have an opportunity to vote? What's the RNC doing? How are we assisting anybody there? We actually took a 10-point plan to Governor Roy Cooper and to the General Assembly there in North Carolina about 10 days ago. And we said, we want to make sure that everybody in North Carolina has an opportunity to vote in this election. They took in consideration all of our points. They actually implemented all of them. And if you look at some of those western counties, these are very red counties on the outskirts of Asheville. And they're important because they offset places like Asheville, which obviously we know is a very blue area. They have seen historic vote totals in early voting. So the whole point I'm trying to make is things look incredible right now on the Republican side of the aisle. Now, I'm going to say that with this caveat. Nobody get relaxed. Nobody take your foot off the gas. We certainly are not going to do that. But if we see this trend continue over the next 15 days, Charlie, it is going to be a blowout win for Donald Trump. So we feel very good about North Carolina. We've also seen these early vote totals in many other states like Georgia. I was in Georgia on Saturday, lines wrapped around the block in all of these early vote locations. We've seen historic turnout there in Georgia. Similarly, in Nevada, we've seen that Republicans are coming out in droves to vote early in person. So everybody get out there and vote. We have to continue to do this the next 15 days.
I love it. We're seeing that consistent in Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, in the battleground states. We're seeing that early voting surge. But Lara, talk about also the data shows that it is low propensity voters. We're doing much better low propensity voters than the Democrats. It's not just that we are eating into our election day voters. There's a little bit of that, but it's mainly first-time voters or lower propensity voters that are engaging in the system early. Ryan Gerdusky, in fact, tweeted over the weekend, pretty amazing. In Clark County, Nevada, Democrats are cannibalizing their high propensity voters at a much greater frequency than Republicans. Republicans are doing a better job at getting low propensity voters than Democrats. Lara, keep going, please.
Oh, yeah. Well, and this is so important, Charlie. This is how we're going to win this election. It's with those low propensity voters. Obviously, we know the base is very enthusiastic about Donald Trump, but who are the low propensity voters? These are people who always vote Republican, but they may not have turned out the past 3, 4, 5 election cycles even, but we know when they vote, they will always vote for us. We've used our data at the Trump campaign to identify who these people are, and we've mobilized our troops on the ground. This is our Trump Force 47 team. These people have identified via our data who these folks are, where they live, what their phone number is. They've called them or they've knocked on their door and they've said, will you get out and vote? Now, here's what we've promised our Trump Force 47 captains. We've said, if you convince 100 of these low propensity voters to get out and vote for Donald Trump in this election, then you're going to come celebrate with us at Mar-a-Lago on election night. So everybody's very encouraged to continue signing people up and getting people out to vote. But you're right. That is how we are going to win this election. And so we're seeing huge movement with these low propensity voters. And the beauty of everybody out there voting early, I know we send a lot of texts. I know we send a lot of emails. I'm sorry, but what we do when we know you have voted, We actually know about that. And so we leave you alone and we don't pull our resources into the people who we know have already cast their ballots. It allows us to get more of those low propensity voters out over the next 15 days and on election day. And that's how we're going to make it too big to rig and make sure Donald Trump is the 47th president.
Lara, I love that. And that's also the emphasis of what we're doing at Turning Point Action, too. Drive out low propensity voters, specifically in Arizona and Wisconsin.